Okay. We have sound waves. We have lights. We have vibes.
Plenty of them to go around.
All of the vibes. What's up, Bridal Babes? I hope you're ready to talk weddings with me in another exciting episode of your favorite wedding podcast, Bridal Buzz. I'm your host, Kat, and today we're joined in the studio by Jazzy, local wedding planner and venue coordinator.
It's the princess wave from Princess
Right?
Diaries.
Thank you for being here today. Yes, but for real, thank you for being here today. We're going to be talking all things like, I don't even know what this is going to be titled. Something about budget, like budget hacks, budget friendly ideas, how to budget everything with money.
Maybe the guide to budget brides.
Yes.
Something.
Yes. All things budget weddings. Like really just, we're going to be talking about how do I deal with budgeting for my wedding.
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell the Bridal Babes a little bit about you? You've been in the studio before, not this studio technically, but
Right.
you've been on the show before.
Right. I am so grateful to be here. I know that, you reach an audience that is so near and dear to my heart, local San Antonio brides, maybe even Hill Country, Austin. That is really like where my heart lies, as much as I would love to, travel and do destination weddings at some point. In my business, I really love seeing, my native hometown brides be, informed, encouraged, empowered to plan whatever wedding they want, depending on their budget, depending on their vision. I think it takes a village sometimes to really help brides understand that you're not in this alone. And I love that you are such a great resource for all of them.
Thanks. And before I was the host, you used to be a bridal. Well, you're still a bridal babe. You're a bridal babe for life, Bridal Babes. But you used Bridal Buzz to help plan your wedding.
Absolutely.
And that just shows me like all of the work that we put in, everything that we've done is so helpful to real couples, real brides like you. And that's what just gets me through the day when I'm like going like, oh, what am I doing? Is any of this helpful? Like little things like that really remind me like what you do matters. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So we're thankful for you.
Oh, I'm thankful for you because like if not, I'd just be talking to a microphone.
Myself. Yeah.
This would be just like a diary.
Yeah. One of those fun podcasts that just go on an hour of somebody just talking and talking and talking.
Yeah. And I don't know if I could do that. I'm like, I can barely even have a conversation. I'm like, no, I need to stop saying that about myself. Yeah. I am a good conversationalist. Absolutely. I literally host a podcast. So anyway.
The theater girls in us, I think, is like, just like it's revived every time
we
like press start and it's like, we're ready.
And I'm like, what's up, Bridal Babes? Da 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 da.
I think we should have that as your intro.
Yeah. I want to do, because I have the theme song, but I want to do something else like vocally with it. Like, oh my gosh, my headphones are just falling off my little head. But I want to, add some vocals, something fun, like that we all can sing along to.
Yeah, a little catchy song.
A doodle doot da bow, something Bridal Babes. Yow, yow. We're getting married.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, before we get into the stories about all things budgeting for your wedding, would you want to go over kind of like what your basic guide would be if a bride or a groom or someone getting married came to you and said, hey, I'm totally shocked at the prices of the wedding world. And
every time.
Yes, like
every time.
No, even me who had like 2 years of experience in the wedding world, I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna take a step back a little bit.
Sticker shock.
Yeah, sticker shock. I literally didn't even know what that word meant until I was engaged. I was like, como que?
Whole new meaning of the word right there for you.
Yeah. So weddings are a lot of people's first experience with that kind of sticker shock if they hadn't like bought a house yet or paid for their own college and things like that. So what would your initial advice be for somebody that's like, how do I start a budget?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of different layers. One of the things that I really want to focus on for those that are listening is priorities. And you'll hear that all the time. Every time you like look up, where should I start? I just got engaged. Everyone will say, map out your priorities, right? And I think that it's really difficult to make a budget when you have no idea, what the start line is. Like, someone in their mind can be like, hey, I know that I initially want to spend this much, but then you start getting quotes and you're like, well, apparently my budget is way too low.
Yeah, apparently we can only afford to eat.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have it in a park. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I want everybody who has, I've worked with weddings that have a $75,000 budget, and I've worked with weddings that have, a $2,000 budget. So I love helping couples realize that you can have the dream wedding that you want. It just takes a little bit of tweaking. It takes some maturity and realization of how your vision can be met maybe in a different way than you thought. And so going back to those priorities, I would say that if you're a bride and you're just starting to plan and you're trying to figure out, what should I do with my budget? I'm going to tell you, let's not focus on a number immediately. Let's go straight into priorities.
Yeah.
So you need to go ahead and make a guest list, and then have like your A team of guest lists, like absolutely like VIP.
Yeah.
Like if those people aren't there, you will be heartbroken. It will make such a difference.
Yeah.
And then you have like your B list, that's like, I would love for them to be there. And if they weren't there, that would be kind of sad. Wouldn't necessarily like break my whole day, but be kind of sad. And then you have like, I hate to say C-list, but that, just people that it would be great if they could come.
Yes.
But
you love them, you want them to be there.
Yeah. Maybe even some of those invites that you're like, I'm not even sure you'll come, but I'm just going to invite you just to be nice.
I want you to know you're welcomed.
Yes. Yes. Make your guest list, separate it into those categories so that as you start to look at venues, which is going to be your next priority, you can really try to figure out, okay, this venue actually only can hold 50 people.
Yeah.
So, well, great, because my very, very important, people was only 30, and now I can take 20 from my B list, just things like that. I think budgeting and feeling good about budgeting for your wedding and not feeling that overwhelmed is about empowerment. It's about options. I feel like so many people feel so disheartened and discouraged because it just feels like, well, my only option is a soup kitchen.
Right.
That's great. And now you just, that just all of those emotions just start coming, just flooding you, and you're just like, I don't even know why I try. So the big thing is going to be options. And the way you give yourself options is to kind of divide out what that really looks like. So after you have your guest list, start looking at venues that are going to accommodate that. And not every venue is made the same. You first got introduced to me, Kat, because I, in addition to my planning and coordinating business, also work at a venue in the Hill Country.
La Escondida Celebration Center.
Perfect.
It's like Gail's jingle from now on.
Yeah. I'm going to record it, put it in my pocket, and take it with me.
Yeah.
And firsthand being there that venue is very different maybe from other Hill Country venues, and any venue really is unique in their own way. You're going to have people that offer you tables and chairs and the space, and that's it. You're going to have people that offer you something similar to my venue that I work at, everything besides photography and alcohol, but we're also really flexible. So, you need to look at your options with venues and figure out, oh, okay, this venue is a little bit over my budget, but the value that I'm getting, I'm also getting food. I'm also getting, desserts. I'm getting my linens and my centerpieces, and all of that's already in there for that cost. Yeah. So in reality, I'm really saving money.
Right.
Things like that. I think that you should really take it upon yourself to look at a variety of different things. I know that you're wanting outside or inside, but I could probably talk about venues all day long. But for the most part, it's really just realizing that, in priority sense, you have your guest list first, and then you have your venue, and then you start looking at things like food. You start looking at things like photography, have, things that your wedding will literally just not happen without.
Yeah.
And for some people, that's only appetizer. For some people, that's catering, a full meal. Really, from there, you can kind of start to realize once your priorities are in place, that all comes back to now, where's your budget gonna go?
Right.
Because after that initial realization of, okay, my priorities are my guest count, my venue, my food, my photographer, XYZ. Well, then now I know that I'm okay with spending 30% of my budget in the first, 2 or 3 categories.
Right.
Because that's what's going to go a long way. What I want to encourage people to avoid, and I have a TikTok about it, and it's my most well-performing TikTok, and it's literally just, if you have a small budget, don't blow it on this. And it's like intricate stationery and a champagne tower and these elaborate seating charts and things that you either can't reuse after your wedding or are just like aesthetics.
Right.
Like, aesthetics. I know that even if that's like a really big priority for you, you should be looking at maybe things that are, like I said, reusable or, just can be donated or, just things, just options. Like I said, options is where budget sweet spots are.
Yes. Yeah. And if you are like an aesthetic focused bride groom, going with a venue that has all the decor available, like in those all-inclusive packages, is going to help you so much in feeling like you can have the decor that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
But not breaking the bank to make it happen. Because like rentals outside of a venue, no shame to any vendor out there, but it's just like, you could pay $200 to rent a rug. And it's like, but why?
Because it just all adds up. And you just don't even realize. You're like, oh, I guess linens are a bigger deal than I thought they were.
Each napkin is $3 or $4, and it's like, holy Toledo. And, some, depending on your budget, which we'll talk about today, that can either be, that's perfectly fine for us. Or that can be we're just going to go with the free option, the included option. My catering company had some plates and silverware included. I was like, great. I do not need to be renting, fancy forks and things.
Yes.
Like, or as long as we can eat, as long as there are utensils and people are not eating with their hands, we're good. We're happy.
Never underestimate the power of disposable plates.
Yeah.
There are beautiful acrylic clear plates that you can do, but you won't know that. You just feel like there's all these expectations on you until you just take a deep breath and realize, when I'm thinking about my wedding day, am I thinking about the plate I'm gonna eat on, or am I thinking about the floral centerpiece in front of me, or am I thinking about my dress,
or am I thinking about the person I get to marry?
That too.
Main priority. I mean, for most of us, hopefully it's our main priority, but
asterisk, put that above your guest count, I guess.
Well, and like part of the show is like, we're really talking about weddings. Like we talk a lot about love too, but like whatever, like your partner will be there, but like, let's talk about the wedding.
I think it's just like an assumption, like you wouldn't have said yes if this wasn't like great. So if you're still worrying about your partner issues, don't even
I'm like,
click out now,
crossed.
Get out of here.
There are some delulus out there. Oh my gosh. And then I had another question of like, you kind of mentioned where people tend to waste money, or like where it can be overspent in certain categories, not waste, but what's the opposite? Like, what do you think people tend to underspend on, that when actually looking at a well-budgeted wedding, it could be, you could put more money toward that category, or like the vendor itself could charge more money for that category? Like, what do you think is an undervalued vendor category?
Okay. Not to be biased, but I definitely think that planners and coordinators are up there.
What? That's what your first guess was? I love that.
That's crazy. I definitely feel like there is this idea, and it's not always couples' faults. I think it's culturally a lot of different opinions, but also like, your mom is like, I didn't have a coordinator and I was just fine at my wedding 30 years ago. And you're like, okay, well, it's a little bit different now. There's a little bit more moving parts.
Like, mom, your wedding was a potluck.
You didn't have as much, I feel like, going on. And, I like to create that experience of, you're not even looking at your watch. You don't even know what time it is. You just know I'm having a great time, and I just sneak up behind you. I'm like, let's go get your cake.
Yeah.
So all of that being said, I feel like planners and coordinators don't get, I think, some of the what's the word I'm looking for? They don't get, I think, some of the appreciation. And I think that kind of falls by the wayside sometimes, that you're just so into planning. And I get it. You're a type A bride. You're like, I have a binder and I have this and I have this. I'm like, that's great. There's nothing, that's amazing. But you still need somebody, at least a coordinator, to come in on the day of and just have an idea of what's going on in the kitchen while you're out there taking photos.
Yeah.
You know, have an idea of, you know, my linens were wrong, or my centerpieces were put out wrong, or, oh my gosh, no one put out my favors, because you're not the one that's able to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely something that I feel like is either underspent or just kind of underestimated in terms of that role.
Right.
You know, like my bridesmaids will do it. And it's like,
yes.
Well,
and especially in that budget wedding category where it's like, oh, yeah, I'll just put this on, you know, my sister or my aunt. And it's like, okay, well, now their whole day is
working your wedding.
Yeah, coordinating your wedding for you. And if love language is acts of service, then maybe they'll be totally happy to do that. But like, also, then they don't really get to enjoy your wedding day in the same way that the rest of your guests get to.
Right.
And if you could just spend that extra couple $1,000 on having somebody, and I don't even know, like, day of coordinator wise, how much that costs. Do you have like a good, like, middle ground of what that looks like?
I would say it's a pretty big range right now. I know that there are people that charge, you know, between, you know, $8,000 and $1,000 for day of coordination. Me being somewhere in that category, I'm like 7 something.
Nice.
So just because I know what it's like to be a budget bride, and so I'm happy to offer it maybe at a little bit of a lower cost. And I come in like maybe 45 days before, and we can just get all of the loose ends just tied up.
That's so nice.
But, you know, partial planning and full service planning, that can be, you know, like you said, in the thousands of dollars range. But that's someone that's keeping you accountable, that's booking vendors for you, that's like you are out here living your best life, being engaged, and then this person over here is like actually working.
Yeah.
And I would just say that, you know, going back to coordinating, going back to your sister or your aunt doing that, my biggest thing is that I'm sure that they're capable, but just like with any vendor you hire for your wedding, you're really paying for their expertise, for their professionalism, for their problem solving, you know, just that's like totally different than most things.
I agree. I think planners and coordinators, especially when you're on a tight budget, tend to be overlooked as something that's like, oh, we'll be fine. Oh, we'll be able to just take care of that.
Right.
And if you are able to hire somebody, it's totally worth it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I don't think that you will regret having an extra person there looking out for you, looking out for your wedding on that day.
Yeah.
It's just not one of those things. Another vendor that I would say would probably be photography and, you know, and videographers. There is just such a level of some people are totally aware that this is like a great investment, and this is going to be one of the only things that, besides my dress, that I can take with me after the wedding. And some people know that already. But for, I think some of those people, because I've definitely been there when they're like, oh, I hired, you know, this student photographer. I hired my uncle. I hired somebody that maybe isn't the most professional.
Yeah.
I
hasn't shot that many weddings.
Yes. Yeah. I'm very leery about. I'm like,
yes.
I know that you want to save. I think there are other places we can save. Let's save on food. Let's save on plates. Let's save on a lot
flowers.
Of yes. Yeah. Let's save on things without compromising, you know, something that you're gonna get back and you're gonna really have as the only memento from your wedding.
Yes.
So that's something else that I feel like needs a little bit higher priority in the budget category.
Yeah, and also it's like, if you compromise on, you know, how many flowers you have in your bridal bouquet, that might hurt in the moment. But if you compromise on the quality of your photography, doesn't matter what your bouquet looks like.
Yeah, a lifetime of like regret. Not to be dramatic.
Yeah, not to be dramatic, but it matters forever. No, for real. I think photography, videography, like you said, the things that last forever are where you need to be prioritizing your money. And I'm actually working on a couple of little things to be announced, Bridal Babes, where budgeting breakdowns will be included on kind of like, if this is your priority, this is how I would break down a budget. If this is your priority. And I don't know how many different breakdowns I'll do, but right now I have a family focused breakdown. and then like a design aesthetic focused breakdown. So
Perfect.
I feel like that's two very different approaches to wedding planning.
Yeah.
That I honestly wish I would have gone in with more family focused planning.
Nice.
Because that's what lasts forever is the memories. I have no regrets about the people I invited, the time I spent, the activities, the experiences that we had. I do have regrets about certain design elements. I do have regrets about, other little things that are on that aesthetic side.
Sure.
So it's like, maybe I should have just been focused on the things that really matter. But again, it's a DIFY world out there. And this episode is going to be so DIFY. Like, budget weddings are do it for you. So, like, if you end up being like, you know what? I'm going to hire an amateur photographer and I'm not going to have a wedding planner. And we're going to have dominoes in my mom's backyard with a preset Spotify playlist on. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope you have fun. That's the most important part is that I hope you have fun.
And and I think that's the other big thing is that we're not discouraging that. We just don't want you to feel like I just settled for everything.
Yes.
I just had no other choice. I
Yeah.
had to do this.
Yeah.
Because if that's what you want, go for it.
Yeah.
Go, like, that sounds great, honestly. That sounds like such a relaxing day.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we just want you to feel empowered enough to say that I budgeted well and I got everything I wanted, or I maybe compromised on some things, but I never, just don't walk into your wedding day like, well, I didn't really want any of this anyway, but this is all I could afford. So,
Yeah.
because that bitterness, in addition to photos, will be somewhat everlasting.
Yes.
Will be something that you carry with you beyond the night.
You will remember how you were feeling in those pictures. And maybe, I don't know, I'm like speaking from my own experience. You will remember in those moments how you were feeling. And so picking the right vendors, committing to your priorities and not compromising on spending money on things that aren't going to make you happy are very important to just make sure like the vibes are right,
Right.
like vibe check, don't spend money on things that you don't need to spend money on.
Exactly.
So, cool. Okay.
Microphone drop.
So I'm like, do I have any other simple questions about budgets?
I know you said like simple questions. I'm like, my 5-minute answers. Well, great. I'm so glad you asked that because
2 hours later,
Yeah.
all of it was meat goodness. So
steak and potatoes.
5-course meal.
I sent you a wire transfer.
What is that a thing?
From Anna. Have you ever seen Inventing
Oh,
Anna?
yes.
Yeah, I'd say that all the time. I was like, I sent you a wire transfer.
And is that like, do you use it in certain situations?
I don't even say like, I'll Venmo or Cash App you. That's just what I say instead.
Okay. In that accent every time.
Like I sent you a wire transfer for my Starbucks.
I love that. I have like, there's this line from Nacho Libre, get that corn out of my face.
Yeah, get that corn.
And I use that for everything. Like if somebody's talking to me about something that I don't want to hear, I'm like, bro, get that corn out of my face. Like that's like my go-to just like line for anything that I don't want to deal with. I'm like, get that corn out of my face.
And like the opposite, my Nacho Libre daily quote is like, it's the best.
It's the best.
Yeah. Where just like anything, just like, it's the best.
Shout out to Jack Black and everyone else involved in that movie.
Yeah, sponsor us.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Bro, if I was sponsored by Nacho Libre, put me to bed. I'm done.
Yeah. Successful. Check.
Success. Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the best. I'd have like little luchador masks hanging everywhere in
I
here.
think you should just get rid of these cowboy hats.
Who needs that? Could you imagine? Just little luchador masks hanging on the wall. Okay, catch you next episode. You never know what's gonna happen. I've said it before. Every time you tune in, there's something new.
Yeah. Just change all of your squares to red and blue.
Oh yeah, which if you aren't watching, you wouldn't know this, but totally reinvented the studio, have a new chair, put in new sound panels. I feel like it feels like so cozy now.
Oh, absolutely.
Like I can cross my legs. Oh, this is the life. He's the best.
I agree.
Okay, we are in our mid-20s, I swear. I'm like getting on the late 20s. I'm like, I'm basically 30. I'm only 27, but I feel like I'm 30 already.
No. That's what mid-20s were invented for. Mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Okay. Also, preface, some of these stories are not just going to be about the couple's perspective on budgeting their own wedding. Okay. It's also going to be like, I'm a wedding guest and there's budgeting things. I'm a bridesmaid and there's budgeting things. So nice. I wanted to throw in just a little splash of this, splash of that for everybody listening, because not all bridal babes are brides. So people out there could be listening and they could be getting married in 10 years.
Yeah, I loved your maid of honor bridesmaid segment. I loved that episode because I was like, those girls never get enough like help. Like, I just, some of them are like, I've never been a bridesmaid before. Like,
literally,
like, and straight up like duty, you've been drafted. Yeah. You've been drafted, babe.
It's your job to stand up and fight for the nation that is your bride. Yeah. No, for real. And yeah, Bridal Babes, if you are having trouble choosing a maid of honor, or if you are going to be a maid of honor and you want to know how to be the best maid of honor possible, how to choose the best maid of honor possible, little plug, head to YouTube, watch my how to choose your maid of honor. I think that's the title of the video. Could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for that.
Of course.
Okay, so first story is, practically, what does a $20K budget actually get someone? Far from a wedding expert and sticker shocked. Thought $20K would be a reasonable wedding, but hardly even covers most venues. About to have a potluck in the woods, but feel like renting chairs alone will put me out, LOL. Wanted a casual weekend getaway with a short ceremony, nice meal, and dance party for $75 or so. Don't need a fancy dress, but want good photos. And that's it.
Oh.
Isn't that, yeah, it's like, and I feel like any budget you have, you go in and you're like, oh no, like this amount of money that I have is not going to be able to get me the Maserati and the caviar,
Yeah.
Yeah. But at $20K is like, I don't know if Wedding Wire will say that's average, but I feel like a lot of brides that I'm talking to are in that 20 to 30K range.
Absolutely.
It's like very average right now. So not to be discouraged in any kind of way, because there are options for sure. So tell me your take.
I would say that I think a lot of it depends on your location. Being a wedding planner, you just have a lot of insight into a bunch of different areas. And I would say that, like, I feel like maybe somebody like from California would put that, like, $20,000 here is very different than $20,000 in SoCal.
Right.
So I would say that it just kind of depends, I think, on location. And for this person, I don't think she mentioned where they were. But it may be true that, you just need to take a step back and stop looking at maybe what do you want out of a venue, and let's see what can offer that, like on a budget basis.
Right.
So, I'm not sure what venue she's looking at, but I know that there are definitely venues even within San Antonio that you can be like, oh my gosh, this place is beautiful. And then you get the bill and you're like, oh, it seems not as beautiful now. It's a little tainted. And in reality, you just aren't looking in the right places all the time, which is what you're here for, is to be able to kind of narrow down, that's what a planner is there for too, is to kind of narrow down, this is what your budget is, just like a realtor, like this person's not taking you to $1 million homes when your budget is $300,000.
Exactly. So
you need somebody that I think can kind of, put you in the right space for where you're going.
That cat feeder, every time I need to unplug it while I'm doing recordings. Oh my gosh.
Kitty food
is on
ready.
Demand. Yeah, the cats can't even eat it because they're locked out of the room. But yes, so I don't think OP shares anything in the comments here, but everyone's like Midwest. And so they're sharing like the difference between being in Chicago versus like 30 minutes outside of Chicago.
Yes.
And just within that range, like how different pricing can be. And I kind of feel like in the Hill Country, it's hard because the Hill Country itself is like a destination wedding location.
Definitely.
So you can find a lot of expensive venues scattered around in the most random towns that you've never heard of.
Right.
Your guests are going to have to shuttle 45 minutes from the nearest hotel.
Right.
But you can also find like La Escondida, places that are incredibly affordable, all inclusive, can host over 100 people.
Right.
So it really, you have to do your due diligence. And like you said about the realtor, like you have to like go on the Knot and search by pricing. Like don't even allow yourself to look at the things on Instagram. You can't tell how much something costs.
Right.
Like a venue doesn't have a shop button where it shows you that it's a $12,000 10-hour rental.
Right.
You know, like you have to, sometimes they don't even put it on their website.
Right.
Which, stop doing that. Venues, vendors, like please share your, at
Maybe
least
like
like
a
range. Yes.
point,
Show
maybe.
people where you start. Because it's so important. And honestly, from a marketing perspective, is going to make you more bookings. So that's my piece of advice today for vendors.
Yes.
Anyway.
And filter as
Yes.
well. Like I know that, you know, we love Here Comes the Guide and all of the filters that they have. We've heard from couples that feedback of, you know, I was able to put, I want BYOB. I was able to put that I want outside. I want this. Like, you know, like really hone in on what do you really want a venue to offer you?
Yeah.
Because yes, you may have a $20,000 budget and I can easily name you 4 or 5 venues that will go above that. But you don't really need a second story and a casino and, you know, different things that you just don't need. And they're great. But, you know, why are you looking at places that don't have what you like need?
Yes,
Going
exactly.
Back to
Priorities. So yeah, I guess like for somebody with a 20K budget, and it all comes down to what your priorities are. But like, what would be a good kind of split on those basic categories of like, this is what I'd contribute to a venue. This is what I'd contribute to the catering, to the photographer, videographer. Like, do you have a general breakdown that you would suggest to somebody with 20K?
Yeah, I would definitely say that you should maybe focus between maybe about 20 to 25% for venue plus maybe like bar.
Yeah.
You know, most of the time venues will include that. If they don't include food, it will at least have something to do with their bar. So between 20 and 25% for maybe venue / bar, and then like another, you know, 10 to 15% for, you know, like desserts. Catering maybe a little bit higher, you know, can kind of be in that 10 to 15% range, you know, depending on your priorities, of course.
Yeah, because you can get Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
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 And honestly, your guests will be happy.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to be disappointed.
Right.
Yeah.
If they don't get like a chicken mashed potato veggie meal, I think they'll survive. They'll be fine.
They're going to throw the table and say, what the heck? Why did I even come here?
I was expecting wedding food.
You know what? I hate you guys.
And then maybe like, you know, again, for people, like probably another 20% on photography and, you know, 15% on a DJ. And, you know, just, it really just depends on what your priorities are. But when I'm looking at, you know, as a planner, I'm looking at a couple's budget and I'm listing, you know, the first thing I have them do is fill out their priorities, because we're not gonna move anything further until we do that. And then that also helps you when cutting back. So, you know, if I know that guest experience is super, super important for my couple, then, you know, I'm not gonna, if we are approaching being close to the budget, I'm not gonna say, I think we should take out the DJ. Or I think we should go down on the DJ, because that's a huge part of guest experience. But I may say, I think we're going to cut back then on the florals, because people are going to look at your centerpieces and be like, wow. And then 15 seconds later be like, anyway, what I was talking about was blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
You know, so things like that, it's hard to put a percentage on every single thing. But like I said, you know, I think that guest count and venue and food are kind of top tier for me, followed by like photography and DJ and things like that.
I told my sister-in-law who's planning a budget wedding, I'm like, look, as long as there's like food, water, and a place for people to use the restroom, like that's the basics.
Absolutely.
Like, and then behind that is like a good DJ, air conditioning, places to sit down also are in that necessary category, especially if you have older people invited to the wedding. You need, and for welcome parties, they were like planning on having it in their empty rental, and I'm like, you need chairs. Like, what are you guys gonna do? Like, you gonna have all these abuelas just standing around floating? No.
We're gonna do like Asian style. We're just gonna like get some
Little
pillows.
cushions. Yeah.
Just
So
everyone's on the floor.
But all in all, I would say not to be discouraged just because the first couple of venues that you're finding or the first couple of photographers that you reach out to are like crazy more expensive than you were expecting them to be.
Right.
It's just like, okay, let's reevaluate. Maybe find a planner that is going to help you stay on budget, find the right things. I feel like that is the most helpful thing because it's hard if you've never planned a wedding before to just like plan a wedding and you know, in potentially less than a year and a half or so. And so finding somebody who's going to have all the right solutions, take the stress off of your plate is like definitely worth it. You're like, yeah. Ding.
Can't ditto what
Jazzy.
she said.
And
Now booking 2024.
Right? And it's like, hey, you looking for a budget destination wedding location? San Antonio.
Absolutely.
There's so many amazing locations around the city, and like lodging is like more affordable than your typical city.
I mean, if you're looking at Dallas, Houston,
Austin,
and us,
yeah.
I think we know where we're gonna be.
We're like, hey, all are welcome. So yeah, check out all that jazz events and kind of see if maybe the Hill Country is the right location for you. Moving on, next story. Title is Budget Trouble. My fiance and I have planned our wedding 3 times now, and each time have had to postpone due to low budget. We have yet to really sit down and hash out the details this time around, but I'm nervous to even ask him, as he seems very stressed about finances at the moment. We're in the midst of fighting a custody battle with my ex, and that absolutely takes priority over a wedding. The attorney fees alone have put us severely in the hole financially, and neither set of parents are able to help out with much of that, let alone a wedding. On the other hand, I'd say we could just wait it out to the end of the court case, but both my parents are very sick, and my mom says they don't have much time. It would absolutely devastate me if they weren't a part of this special day. As of right now, it seems our budget may be no more than $5,000, and no matter how hard I try, I can't seem to stay in the budget. I'm looking for tips on ways to cut costs without having to give up on too many of my dreams.
I'm gonna say that that's a very real situation. I definitely agree that you have your priorities as far as outside of being married. I'm outside of a wedding, I should say, but I also feel like 3 years or 3 different times. Let's get it going. There's never a perfect time, and in reality, the longer you wait, I'm sure she's probably there's even carrying some of that guilt of like, oh, if I would have done it 3 years ago, the price would have been totally different now.
Right.
And I would just say that I think that is one of those like exhibit A scenarios where I think a really nice elopement style type of ceremony would be great. I think that you need to maybe get a really great dress like from Amazon, or a used dress. Like I do the dress I do,
or
some
sample sale.
Yeah, sample sale dress. Let's get his suit from like a department store that's going to look really nice. Let's invite the the people that are most important. She was talking about family that doesn't maybe have that much longer or would really like to see her married soon. I think that is when you literally go and we're going to reserve a pavilion at a park. Yeah. We're going to,
get a private room at a restaurant after and just, have a nice dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the reception part of it, I think, is probably going to be super minimal. Focus on the ceremony, this time, this person that's been with you through really these difficult times that you're going through. So make it about you guys. Yeah. And I love this idea of going to like a farmer's market or something. Have you heard of that? And just grabbing flowers for your bouquet, like making it like from this, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to have bridesmaids. You don't need to have groomsmen. You just need to focus on you and that significant other. And like you said, I think that can be done at a really beautiful restaurant. I think that a really nice, either free or very, very inexpensive ceremony, so that way you can maybe spend some of that other budget on things like food, and again like maybe 20-30 guests max.
Because 5,000, that's doable.
I know. Yeah. I was listening to her and I was like, okay, like I was already thinking in my head, like, well, we could probably do 500 for this. And like, and then she said 5,000. I was like, oh, well, that's a way bigger budget than I thought we were working with.
But again, if it's like, if you're in New York City, that's like
true.
nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you're going to have to go to somebody's like, you know, loft roof and be like, can I borrow this for just a little bit, please?
You're like, sorry, Grandma, you can only access it through the fire escape, so you might not be able to come.
Yeah. I guess in my wedding planner, mine went straight into like San Antonio, and I was already like, so like you said, definitely a budget friendly place to get married, a little destination.
Yeah.
But I think that's really doable, and I would focus a lot on a very minimal ceremony.
Yeah, and just the sentiment of it, really. Yeah.
I don't think, you know, I think maybe, you know, there are those people that kind of like elope and then they have their reception like later. I know I know you've replanned it 3 different times, but maybe it's just time to kind of let go of that really
big wedding celebration.
The DJ and all, you know, all of these things. I think it's just time to, you know, do the ceremony. Just let's get married. Yeah. And then let's have a really nice intimate evening with some of those, you know, with some
important people. Yeah, agreed. 100%. Because it's like, what is my priority? She says it right here. Being able to get married before anything happens that would hold these people back from being able to attend. Yeah. So if that is your priority, I feel like any other dreams, any other kind of visions you've had for what your day is supposed to look like, you kind of just have to put to the side and say, maybe we'll have a 10-year vow renewal that we can actually start saving for now, and hopefully be able to get on the same page with her partner, because that's a whole other problem that's like a red flag. I didn't want to
mention it, but I was like,
I mean, money is hard to talk about.
Yeah, if you it's the number one cause for, you know, problems and issues in relationships and marriage for a reason.
Yep. And so I'm like, don't want to get in your business, but like trying to plan a wedding 3 times and then the budget being the issue every time, but you can't even have a conversation about the budget is like
really the red flag is the idea that you can't go to them at this time. Because that either tells me that both of your priorities are in 2 different places. You need to be on the same page.
And that's a whole, like, we could have an entire episode about just financial conversations with your partner. Like,
we have a few episodes. We have a series on that one.
Yes. Yeah. Because again, like, we're trying to focus on the wedding itself, but like there's so much that goes into budgeting. It's not just like, oh, we're going to have a budget and we're going to stay on budget. It's like, oh, but I had a vision that I was going to spend more on my dress, but now my partner is like, what the heck? You want to spend $2,000 on a dress? And it's like, oh, well, like, that's just what I've always imagined. And those conversations are not going to be easy, but working through them and just like getting on the same page. Premarital counseling probably is a really great idea in this OP's situation, not only because of the budgeting situation, but just because they are going through like a lot of traumatic stuff centered around their wedding season with family sickness and things like that. Like, premarital counseling is definitely going to help. Just make sure that they'll be set up for situations like this.
Yeah. And like, have maybe even, because I know, you know, lawyers do this, and I know that there are planners that do this. I do this, that you can always pay somebody for like an hour of their time. Like, maybe you don't have the funds to have a full-on planner, but maybe you can have like a consult call and just say, you know, I just want an hour. I'll pay you for an hour of your time. Just try to give me as much as what you think I can do with this budget as possible. Because it sounds like they're also going through a lot of things that, you know, I'm sure, like, just looking at venues is probably the last thing on their mind.
Yeah, right.
Right now, in the middle of a custody battle and things
like that. Which is even more reason. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so insensitive. I forgot about the custody part. I was just like thinking about the parents. But yeah, no, they have a whole child that they're like going to court over. Right. Yeah. Ugh. And that's, again, even more reason to just keep it low key. Because if you want to get married at this time, I feel like the only solution is to just do it super low key. Like maybe there's a restaurant with a patio that they can just close off from other guests, or a park with an arbor, talking to a planner, finding out those spots in the city where you can actually legally set up a ceremony for free. Talking to officiants, like there's an elopement company, an officiant company in San Antonio, Texas wedding officiants that would 100% have all of the answers on where you can get married for, you know, less than $1,000.
Oh yeah. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm thinking of like a little piece of like the botanical garden, or, you know, like just, you know, the Japanese tea gardens. I think, you know, here in San Antonio is like a big place for people to get married, because it's like $100 or it's like a couple $100 or something.
Just to pay for that site for like 2 hours or something. Yeah.
And then you can have someone, you know, you can have a really nice professional camera, you know, set up. You can maybe that's when you try to work something out with someone. You know, most photographers offer a pretty great deal for like 2 hours, for an hour, you know, because again, you're not having this super long wedding. And I think some of the things that hold people back from that is maybe just that initial guilt and shame. You know, somebody once said, and not somebody once said, like, it's like an Abraham Lincoln quote or something, but
someone once said,
I did see on, you know, I saw on TikTok, I saw on the interwebs, you know, this person that asked, you know, what were weddings before social media?
Right.
And I still think that they were obviously grand. I just don't think that there was as much overwhelm. Like, if you didn't get invited to the wedding, then you probably didn't see those pictures, babe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You were like, oh, you guys got married? Nice.
Yeah. Like, there wasn't so much, I think, just straight up comparison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like keeping up with the Joneses mentality. Yeah.
Like, if you didn't go to that wedding, if you were out of sight, out of mind, then it's cool. But instead, now I'm inundated with every person's wedding. I'm inundated with Sophia Richie's wedding. And now I'm like, if this is what a wedding looks like, what am I going to do?
Right.
I don't have the real singer like changing the name in the song for me.
Meanwhile, they have a $500,000 budget for their wedding.
You know, that their flower budget alone was 3 times your budget.
Yeah,
so
literally.
Which, again, no hate and shame. Everybody has a different budget, but take away that guilt, take away that initial, you know, just take away that feeling.
I feel like we also grew up with, like, I don't know if you watch this, like My Super Sweet 16 and things like that.
And My 4 Weddings.
Yes. Like,
TLC.
I was like 11 watching that. And by the time I was having my Sweet 16, my parents were like, okay, and you can have $1,000 to do whatever you want. I was like,
that's it.
How am I going to afford the zebra and a DJ
and my Hummer limousine,
my Bentley? Yeah. You guys aren't going to buy me a car with that budget. Like, what are we talking about here? You know?
I felt the same way about Say Yes to the Dress. Like, I would be watching and I'd be like, your budget's $1,500, girl. What are you doing at Kleinfeld's?
What are you doing? Trash.
Yeah. Garbage. And then, like, literally getting married in 2022, I was like, my budget's $1,500.
Yeah.
And I cannot go $1 over that. Like, like, I was like, that's so much money already on a dress.
Literally so much money. So much money.
Yeah.
And DIFY, do it for you. If that dress that is a couple $1,000 makes you like the happiest person in the world, and it respects your budget, respects your partner and the way that you guys are managing all of it, then do it.
Yeah.
Wear the dress. Wear the dress. But if you're gonna be like looking back on that $3,000 ticket and being like,
yeah. Buyer, like,
we could have gone on another week of honeymoon with that money, you know, like, so just don't feel like you have to rush into decision making for your wedding too. Right. I feel like when I started planning my wedding, it was like early 2022. Yeah. And everyone in the wedding world was like, it's about to get wild.
Yeah, welcome to the boom.
Yeah, like
2 million people are getting married this year. Yeah,
literally. Dun dun dun.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh my gosh, I have to book my venue. I have to book my planner. I have to book my photographer, or else I'm not gonna have the people. I'm not gonna have my dream wedding. I'm gonna let it all slip through my fingers. And it's like, you know, there are some people I'm glad I booked early on, but also I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was so toxic for me and every other person planning a wedding.
Right.
It was like Black Friday running into Walmart and like
but
people died on the way in.
Imagine that anxiety just like for months and months and months on end. Like
literally,
like it's enough. Like it's like being in the Taylor Swift queue. Like imagine that anxiety like forever. Like
for
just
8 months.
for just planning and planning and planning. You don't need to.
Yeah.
And that is the type of things that lead you to decisions that you will regret.
Yes.
And that's what we
to overspending early on before you really hash out your priorities. And to booking based off of what you see on Instagram instead of checking like, oh, well, how do they compare to the other prices of people in this vendor category on The Knot or Wedding Wire or, other local guides that might be able to have that information.
Yeah.
But it just never, if you feel pressured to make a decision, don't do that. Don't make the decision.
Don't do it. And another thing that I just want to say that I recommend, maybe you don't have a full service planner, you're gonna like, I'm gonna get a coordinator, and the coordinator typically doesn't help you look for vendors and things like that. They're there to make sure that the day runs smoothly, your rehearsal runs smoothly, to put the dot of the I's and crossing of the T's.
Yes.
I have to think about it for a second. What I've seen that I really enjoy is maybe having like your sister or your aunt or somebody kind of get the initial quotes so that you are taken out of like the emotion of it, that like
all of the upfront shock.
Yeah, like I emailed my dream venue and it's just, and versus that, if I were to have you do it for me, you're like, they came back with 10, it's not gonna work. But I did find this other one, and so I think that's a really great idea, is to kind of remove yourself from those things. I think there's nothing wrong with asking venues up front, emailing them saying this is what I'm interested in, and a good venue is not going to give you the runaround. They're going to say, this is what it is for this time, for this rental, weekdays versus Saturdays, things like that. And then you can go, thank you so much, we will be in touch, or just thank you. Have somebody else do that, if that is, because I'm thinking about people that suffer from anxiety or just that type of pressure that's like, well, I emailed them, I just feel so bad not responding, and I'm like, then just have somebody else do it. Then have somebody that loves you and cares about you. And everyone knows that once you get engaged, everyone is like foaming at the mouth of like, how can I help you?
I know.
And it's like, I don't even know how I can help myself. So,
right.
You know how you can help me? I'm going to give you these list of venues that I'm interested in. Can you find out how much they are? Yes. Can you find out what the starting cost is for this DJ, or what the packages are? And then you and I can sit down and we can look at them. And that way you don't have the pressure of like a vendor being like, so you gonna book, or are you gonna book?
Also, like off of that, like it's so hard to fall in between working with vendors and like relating to being the bride. Because on social media, you'll often see vendors being like, when the couple ghosts you and you spent all this time sending an email and all this. And I'm like, why are you publicly shaming potential clients?
Literally.
Like that to me is not a cute look. And shaming other vendors for things that they do. I'm like, just keep it to yourself. Like your mother already taught you once, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So
I couldn't agree more. I think I did see something on TikTok, and I won't name them, but I was like, is this what your platform is? Like, Are you serious?
That's who you
want
to be out here?
Yeah. Like, why would, like, why?
Yeah.
Just why?
Yeah.
There are plenty of brides to go around. And there's just no need to put somebody down. Like that vendor will unfortunately probably just learn the hard way. That there are things that you tweak and do, and there's a reason that there are people in this business for 2 years and people in this business for 20. And that's okay, but there's no reason to put people down and pressure people. I hate that.
Right.
The pressure of like, you better book in the next 48 hours or kiss us goodbye.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. And I do appreciate like consistent communication, but there's a difference between checking in and like breathing down someone's throat, like, when are you gonna book me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, that was probably really scary if you were listening on headphones.
It was. I was like, whoa.
Fun fact, I took a voice acting class in college, so I really enjoy it.
Yeah, okay. She could be in a haunted house. Like,
welcome to my house.
Yeah. Like that Flo Rida song. It's like, welcome to my house.
Nice.
But it's like the Halloween version.
Scary version.
Spooky.
Okay, so top comment on this one is, honestly, as much as this probably isn't what you want to hear, I'd postpone indefinitely until your custody case is finished or at least more stable. I imagine it's a stressor emotionally in addition to financially. I don't know what the wedding of your dreams looks like, but very few dream weddings are achievable on $5,000. At that price, I'd be saying no more than 15 people, civil wedding at a courthouse, and then a nice meal afterwards at a restaurant, which can still be a beautiful wedding and day. But depends if that's what you want, and even that might be difficult on 5K. And immediately, I'm like,
you just wanted to postpone indefinitely, or are you telling her to literally have exactly what we said?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
But also, like, this is like maybe a $2,000 wedding that they're saying. 15 people, civil court, and dinner after.
Yeah. Unless you're going to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Has packages that are less than $5,000 for all inclusive.
Yeah, we have an elopement style package for 20 guests or less that includes like a cake and punch.
Yeah. Like you get reception. A whole freaking venue. Yeah. Like, hello.
Your ceremony, your officiant.
Anne Marie's Event Center has packages.
Yeah.
Like there are places out there. And this is what will get you down as a bride or somebody planning a wedding, is one person will tell you that's not possible.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, like we'll literally give you like some of the most basic package and be like, and that's probably even going to be done.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, who are you? Have you planned a wedding? Have you, been in a wedding? Mm-hmm. Like what gives you the right to even be saying, honestly, not possible. Your dream wedding, not possible for $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If certain dream weddings, that are from Barbie Land and Pinterest, but like you can have a beautiful day, a beautiful evening for $5,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easily.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, to play devil's advocate, again, the person that's commenting could be like, I always go back to like the SoCal brides. I don't know. Like, I think it's because I'm in so many Facebook groups as well. That's like, I'm in SoCal. And I mean, like for like the most, like for like my wedding with hot dogs, it was $10,000.
You're like, get out. But it was like LA, and they were like gourmet hot dogs,
yeah.
Vegan, and
some like the Mark Wahlberg.
They were like smoked hot dogs, like anyway,
brioche buns.
Yeah.
But so to this person's defense, I guess I would say maybe where she is at, $5,000 is not doable. But I'm not one of those people that believe in postponing. I don't believe in just letting something as trivial as money stop you from at least doing something that is important to you. There are people that get marriage is one of the things that happens literally all over the world in whatever country you're in. So it's a range.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever something where you just can't do it.
Yeah.
Just postpone indefinitely. It's never gonna happen.
There's no black and white. Yeah. So OP ends up responding to that comment and said,
tell me.
There are a few things I've managed to cut costs on already. We know people who are so incredibly generous in cakes and catering that have offered services for free. Wow.
That's huge.
We also have connections to some discounted pricing on photography.
Okay.
Well, I hope it works out. I've managed to find a beautiful venue for only $500. See? And I already have my dress. Just looking for tips on how to cut costs on the rest.
What do you mean the rest? You're set, babe.
Yeah, good. Go get married.
Yeah, go do $10 a month on Spotify Premium so you don't have to listen to any commercials while you do
go to
playlist.
The spa. Like, go get a facial, girl.
Yeah. I mean,
and she said, I'm hoping to get the rest put together in the 5K budget, but it's honestly hard to even commit to that with the custody case in the air.
Sure.
We have a court hearing in a few days that will hopefully give us a better picture of a timeline and costs for our case. But in the meantime, I'd still love to be able to plan the wedding. And then someone goes, what else are you wanting? Dress, cake, venue, food already covered. And then OP deleted their response to that. It was probably something like, well, I want, porcelain china and floral bouquets on every table.
Maybe.
And hanging lights and a string band and Daniel Radcliffe to be our officiant. And
that would be so weird if he was an officiant. But anyway.
I'm like actually not the best personality to officiate a wedding, but anyway.
Because I was gonna say I was like if you have some room left in your budget, I mean, getting free catering is huge. Like that takes up a huge chunk, and you only spent $500 on your like I said, those like what I was talking about before with percentages, you have huge percents left in your budget.
Yeah.
So you know, and just because your budget is 5,000, like she said, doesn't mean you have to spend all of, you know what I mean? If you end up spending 3 and you have everything you need, take that 2 and apply it to the lawyer at the custody case.
Right.
Or go
put it in a college fund for your kid.
Yeah. Or just take a vacation, you know, once this custody case is over to like just
save
breathe.
for the honeymoon.
Like a little late honeymoon.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to spend all of your budget on your wedding just because that's what you budgeted for. That's very interesting. Yeah, I guess the only thing, like, I guess when I was thinking about what she could have said, I guess before we realized that it was deleted, I was like, I mean, if you want to get some mason jars and some candles from the dollar store and, you know, go to your local grocery store or Trader Joe's, because they have great flowers at Trader Joe's, and go pick up like you know what I mean? Like, you could do that. Yeah, you could spend like $200 on that. Yeah. But again, I don't know what else you need. You're set. I agree with that person's comment. That's
needs
like
are covered. Yeah. Yeah. So
the basics
from here, it's just like, does the venue have a bar? Do you want to open or offer a cash bar? Do you want to have, you know, mixed, like, you know, through cocktail hours covered by the couple? And then after that, you know, what else is a priority? Yeah. Besides, or do you want to
invite people afterwards to go to a bar? Do you like not even want to serve alcohol?
Yeah. Like totally fair point.
Dry wedding, and you can meet us at the bar afterwards. You want to buy us something? Great. If not, you know, whatevs.
Yeah. And like, it just all comes down to what else am I picturing in my dream wedding, you know, besides the necessities, and how can I make that happen with the money that I have left? And do I need to make that happen, or can I just wait and save this money, put it toward a future event that is like a 10-year vow renewal, or like a housewarming, or any other big life event? Because you getting married is a big deal, but it's not the biggest deal ever. Like, that's
sorry to bring it to you. Yeah.
There will be other big deal moments throughout the rest of your life, which is great, because if you don't think that there is, that's when post-wedding blues is like so bad, because you're like, oh, I'm only gonna go down from here, and it's like, no.
Yeah, well, just think about how sad that would be. It's like, I peaked at my wedding. I peaked. Like, that's it. Like, you still have the rest of your life. Like, that's gonna be great, amazing moments. Not that your wedding isn't wonderful and up there, but why would you want like the end all be all moment to be that one night?
Right. Yeah.
You know.
So anyway, okay, let's move on to our next story.
That one was kind of spicy,
right? Well, yeah, and it's also like people had different opinions in the comments, which is
people are heated when it comes to weddings. Like, that is a topic that will just get people like, you know. And I think, again, there's different things culturally, and there are different things generationally that just feel like, just, you know, there's somebody like a boomer that comes in and it's just like, I just don't understand why everyone has to be spending so much money. You know, like, it's like, I think it's like, I don't know why I have such a parallel to like realtors and houses, and like the people that's like, I bought my house for 13 cents. And, right. You know, blah, blah, blah. They're like, well, that's great, I just Grandpa.
Had to shake on it.
No contracts back then.
Yeah. Things are different, by the way. We have the internet now.
Yeah.
Have you heard it?
Yeah, so different. Like, I hate that one iPad commercial. It's just like a little rant I always have, where it's like, what are you looking at your computer? What's a computer? I'm like, oh my gosh, you're telling me that you're that young that you're like, I don't even know what a computer is. I just know what an iPad is.
Yeah. Bye.
That's my boomer rant. It's like me as a like, get off my lawn rant. It's like, you know what a computer is. Please stop.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this next story is going to be from a wedding guest perspective.
Okay.
So buckle up, pop your corn, pour your drink, and let's go. Title is, Bride Invites Me to Wedding and Expects Me to Pay for Venue. Haven't spoken to her in 2 years, by the way. So, this friend I made in university and I were once close until she got engaged 2 years ago and cut off all her single friends because she's too good for single friends and can only have engaged or married friends, LOL, according to her. I haven't spoken to her in 2 years since that and have since gotten over it since it's been a while. I get an email today that I thought was spam. Turns out it was a wedding invitation, not personally from her, but from her coordinator inviting me to their wedding. At the bottom of the invite was a bill for $400 to pay for the venue, plus $150 for the meal. I know this varies around the world, but where I am, the bride and groom or maybe their family pays for the venue and food, not random people you don't talk to. 20 people in total were invited to the wedding. You could see all the emails in the sent to bar, so I guess she's pretty much only inviting me to help pay a cost. I would never have the balls to do that to someone, especially after telling them we can't be friends because you're engaged and can't have single friends. And no, I'm not the kind of friend that parties or drinks. She cut off any friend she had that wasn't engaged or married. I now know what they mean when they say, quote, weddings bring out the worst in people. Could you imagine?
Where are your engaged and married friends? That's what I want to know. Where are all these people that you were surrounding yourself with?
Yeah, and that we're totally like affirming you charging your wedding guests to attend. Like that's normal or something.
I almost like there's a part of me that just feels like I'm not gonna say that's not real, but a part of me is like, did she mean to have it on there? Like, are you sure that it was like an invoice, like a wedding guest invoice?
I'm like, show me the receipt.
Yeah, but like I kind of want to see it because I just have as a coordinator, like I don't even understand how that coordinator like was like, I'm gonna do this,
right?
You know, like how do you not talk to your bride and you're not like, how are you paying for a coordinator, but you're not paying for your venue or your food?
Yeah.
Like make that make sense to me.
Yeah. Like you're having your coordinators send out your invitations for you, which I don't know if that's normal. Like maybe like putting the stamp on it and like, you know, but not
like
actually being
a
like,
mock-up or
hi,
something.
I'm the coordinator of blank and I would like to invite you to this wedding. It's like, what? Like, are you hosting the wedding?
Yeah, I kind of just want to see the email too because I'm like, is it just like a literal like?
Show me the email. Is it just typed out?
I want to see it. Yeah. Forward it to me, please.
Dear blank. It's just an email template.
And then like you didn't even have like the courtesy to do like one by one. You like just like let's just do reply all. Like like let's just let's just see everybody that's was in the box. That is wild. I don't even know if I have a response. Because
it's like, I mean, and they're not really asking anything.
Of course not, because they know that they're completely justified.
Yeah,
they're like, I just want to put this on documentation somehow. So I don't
they just needed the world to be aware. Like, I just think it's wild. Like, I can't imagine being in the couple's shoes planning the wedding, being like, oh yeah, we'll just have our college friends
that I haven't spoken to in 2 years.
Pay for our wedding for us. Like, I don't know what blog, what influencer, what they're on that is telling them.
That's what I'm saying. Like you have a coordinator that's like, sure, I'll do that for you.
Totally.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. And again, I don't know. I almost feel like that is a joke. That has to be a joke. You haven't even spoken in 2 years. Like. That like you always hear this on the opposite end. You always hear the person I haven't talked to in 2 years is like, can't wait for my invitation,
right?
And you're always like, no, sorry, Uncle Freddie, it's not gonna happen. But you never hear about I haven't spoken to them in 5 years and here's my invitation. Like just had to have you. You know,
I'm like, was it sent on April Fool's?
Well, yeah.
If not, I'm concerned.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. So piece of advice, don't charge your wedding guests for honestly anything. Like
maybe besides the bar.
Yeah. Unless you want to have like a cash bar or, you know, the wedding's at a hotel and they need to pay for their room or something.
Right,
but like, other than that, like we're not getting a receipt at the end of our meal and tipping the waiters.
Yeah, at $150, what meal am I getting?
I know, honestly.
I want lobster. I want steak. I want like
caviar from a beluga whale.
Like I'm choosing the food, right? Since I'm paying for it.
Yeah, like a T-bone
tomahawk.
Yeah. Come on. I think my catering was like 30 to 40 a person, and it was still like on the top end of what my catering company was offering. I can't even imagine what 150 a person for food only. Like there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I don't believe it. Fake news. Wrong. Canceled. Okay, so there is an update. Oh, okay, wait, edit. Okay, after I declined to her coordinator, the bride messaged me asking why I declined. So I had to give my response. And then
The
edit, you
audacity
can
to
check.
follow up. Why would you say, this is a great deal? What are you doing?
Yes.
How are you passing this up right now?
It's only $550 to attend my wedding. What the heck? Update. So after she sent me the message asking me why I declined, I just said it's impossible to finance that. She didn't say anything after. I spoke to the mutual friend. The mutual friend isn't going, but was told about the mandatory payment prior to the invitations going out because basically, like other users here suggested, I was like plan C of people to invite, and she really needed people to come to this wedding because the venue gives her a discount if the quantity of people reaches a certain amount. That doesn't make sense to me.
That doesn't make any sense.
You know, the space, it's going to be the same size. But if you have more people, we'll charge you less. Like, what? Anyway.
Sketchy.
Yeah. Everyone in the wedding party is not paying. So I was like a last resort type thing. Basically, like so many of you suggested. Since we're all aged 23 to 24, not everyone who she invited was able to pay in the first place. So yeah, she was like, who's next on the list? Oh yeah, Shades of Cool, which I guess is their Reddit name.
Okay. I was like, that's a very interesting name there.
I guess she thought I'd forget about her reasoning for cutting off her friends, but I don't. As for everyone wondering who the fiancé is, no one has met him, not even the mutual friend. But he was in charge of a club at our university, and I've heard he's kind of a bad guy. So I guess she realizes, like, you can't just cut off friends and send them that years later. That doesn't work. But she wanted to try her luck. He has a lot of friends as well, so I think his friends overshadow hers, and she just wants someone there for her. But no, you cannot harvest and bear fruit from a tree you never watered.
Philosophical.
Wow. Yeah, this is like one of the weirdest wedding stories I've ever heard.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah. Also, I was totally thinking I was ready to be married when I was 23, and like it would have been fine, but I'm really glad I waited till I was a little bit older. I just feel like I'm in such a more grounded space as a human being that I would anyway. like maturity.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes sense that I mean, maybe I actually think I would have expected something similar to like asking guests to pay if they were like closer to like 18 or 19, because that would make more sense in my opinion. I don't know. See, this is why weddings are so interesting, because you have something like the last one that we heard, not this one, but the last one that we heard that was like $5,000 budget, postpone indefinitely. And then you have somebody that's like, postpone, I will just charge people to come. I'm no matter if I don't have the budget, I'm gonna make the budget.
Yeah, like two different types of brides.
Yeah, like I'm at a loss for words.
Wild. Yeah. When in doubt, don't charge your wedding guests. And like don't make it public who you're sending this email to all at the same time. And make it obvious that you guys are like a B-list, C-list, last minute add resort. 20 people to the list type of idea.
Which again is such a weird thing. Like I've never heard of a venue that would do that. That doesn't make sense to me personally.
I'm like, for what? Like what would be cheaper if there are more people present for the venue?
Yeah. What could you possibly be giving away? Like you still need security. You still need there's nothing that equals more people, so less money. Like there's not an equation in the wedding world that equals that.
Yeah. Brain does not compute.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm like lost with that one. Yeah. Lots of like, wait, what? moments.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is going to be our last story of the day.
Okay.
Title is Realistic Bridesmaid Budget. Need an opinion here. I'm 24 female, a bridesmaid in an upcoming wedding, and feel like expenses are really piling up. Between the dress, matching shoes, matching jewelry, accommodation the night before, bridal shower contribution, gift for shower and gift for wedding, and more, It's becoming a lot to manage. I am a teacher, and while I can budget for those expenses and afford it, I feel like it's adding up into a really high range. I've been in a wedding before as the maid of honor, and even then my expenses weren't this much. What is a realistic budget as a bridesmaid, or what have you paid? Thank you.
Dangerous question, I think. What a big open-ended question.
Right? It is so dependent on who your married person is. Like, what kind of lifestyle do they live?
Yeah.
If they live a bougie lifestyle, they're not going to be satisfied with the DIY low budget alternatives. That's
Sure.
just, and if you know that your bride or your groom is a bougie person, and you don't want to be spending the kind of money that they like to spend, you might just want to sit it out. You might just say, hey, like, I'll be a bridesmaid, but if you're expecting this, and this from me, I'm not going to be able to show up in that kind of way. Like, I'll be there for your wedding. I
would love to help in some other way.
Yeah. Or like, I'll wear what you want me to wear. I'll do this and that, but I'm not going to spend $1,000, $2,000 to go to your bachelorette party. I'm not going to be buying you a gift for every single event. Because honestly, I don't feel like bridal party members need to get the couple a gift. Like, I don't know if that's a hot take, but they're already giving so much to the couple with their time and their resources. Like, I would not expect anything from my bridal party members to be given to me as a bride.
You're so sweet though.
I get, yeah, but I'm like, they're already spending so much to participate. Like, is that not enough? Like, you're also going to require them to get you napkins for your dining room table? Like, come on.
I don't know. I think you could go either way, but like,
that's fine.
I don't know. I wasn't one of those brides that expected that you did that. I think it just depends the type of bridesmaid that you want. Like, there are some bridesmaids that truly, like, they don't really do anything but show up and drink at your wedding, and so maybe I do expect you to kind of put in a little bit more effort, because maid of honor is a totally different category, as go watch the YouTube video. But I just think the open-ended question of like, how much did you pay? And it's like, of course you're gonna have somebody that's like, I only paid $30 because she let me thrift my dress, and
it was right next door to my house. And our bachelorette party was not even overnight.
In her backyard.
Yeah, exactly. So and that's again why it's like it comes down to the couple that you're celebrating.
Definitely.
And also that couple, the bride needs to communicate very clearly from the get-go.
Took the words out of my mouth.
As soon as you invite your bridal party to participate in the wedding, you need to have some sort of guesstimated budget ready to go for them. Yeah. And like, I think when you're young, it's really easy to be overexcited and just be like, yeah, I can't wait to be your bridesmaid. And then you're like,
of course, I'm one of your closest friends. Of course, I'm going to be a bridesmaid. Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, actually, like, this is not in my budget. Or like, this is going to take away from other things that I'm financially planning on doing. Right. And like, you don't need to be, not contributing to your savings because you're being in a wedding. You don't need to go into debt to be wearing, whatever designer dress your bride wants you to wear. So I think having those conversations, both people communicating like what their expectations are,
it's a huge deal. And I think the big thing too is that if you know that you're a bride that demands a lot, then you also need to be okay with people with everything not going your way. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can't be demanding and controlling. Yeah. Because come on now.
Which is like so hard because the brides who are like that are like not the type that are going to be like,
it's like,
that's
those
fine.
Two characteristics. Yeah.
Oh, you can't pay for the Hermes bracelet. Oh, that's fine.
That's cool. No, I guess we don't need to have a Birkin bag for every single bridesmaid. Because I feel like that's something I tell my brides a lot too, that I'm like, I think like, are you like, first of all, be very selective with who you pick for your bridesmaids, your groomsmen. Less is always more.
Yes. Quality over quantity.
And I also think that you should have an established conversation of whether or not are you going, like, is this like is this like a ride or die type of situation in terms of a bridesmaid? Or if this person can't make your bridal shower, if this person can't make your bachelorette, is it like a make or break?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I think there's a way that you can approach as a bride looking at your girls and being like, if you can't pay for that, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I don't think we all need to be there. I don't think we all need to do this, because I get, as a bride, you're like, I don't want to compromise just because my friend's a teacher and I'm a lawyer, so therefore I have to put everything down on somebody else's budget.
Right.
But also be flexible enough to understand that you don't make as much money as I do, so no, you don't have to. Not everything has to be exactly the same. To have the same set of standards and expectations for every single person. You as the bride can be lenient enough to say, that's fine. If that person isn't going to go on the bachelorette, you're going to be missed. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
But, I feel like I see so many TikToks of brides that are like, I just can't believe they didn't make it. I just can't believe my bridesmaid did this. Now, granted, there are like some that are warranted, of course, but some others that I'm like, it just sounds like you just want to be super controlling, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and you want the whole world to revolve around you.
Yeah, and I get it. You're the bride.
Yes.
Like, you're usually a bride just once.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I hate, because it's a reality that people will lose friendships. They will, that type of stuff happens during wedding planning, and I just hate to see it over something frivolous like bachelorette parties and different stuff. Like, there's a difference between somebody not supporting you and somebody not willing to, get customized jewelry for your wedding,
right?
That they'll never wear again.
You have to be understanding when you put requirements on other adult human beings. Like, that everyone lives their own life, and like people aren't just going to drop everything to be able to do what you want from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just on growing up, is realizing the world doesn't revolve around you just because you're the bride and it's your wedding.
Sorry.
Yeah, like you have to deal with reality still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a level of sacrifice, there's a level of humility that is, of course, expected and should come from your bridal party, but it's not like, you can't ask someone to give up themselves and their own life priorities to put you in the spotlight. That's where I see people entering into the Bridezilla category, because like, I don't want to believe that Bridezillas exist, because I think every bride has a reason for having the emotions and like communicating in the way that they do. But there is definitely territory where it's like, you need to calm down.
Yeah. You're being too loud.
You're being so loud. Uh-oh.
I couldn't agree more. I want brides to know that they have, it should feel like a very special moment for you, but you may want to check yourself if the only way you can feel special is by making everybody else feel miserable.
Yeah. Well said. Mic drop. Boom. Okay, yeah, so the top comment is, this depends on too many factors for us to be much help. A quote, reasonable budget is any number agreed upon by all parties in advance.
Who is this mature person? Did you comment this guy? Is it that comment to you?
I think they deleted their account, so it doesn't say who it is anymore. Oh, I know.
I hope they weren't shamed.
We can't find you anymore. They said, I have personally paid between $50,000 and $4,000, depending on my age, stage of my career, time 50? Of year. $50 and $4,000.
Okay.
Yeah, not $50,000.
I heard 50,000. Yeah. I was like, say come again.
You're like, did you all invest in a duplex together?
Did each of you like go in like on a mega yacht?
Yeah. Okay. So remember that you are allowed to say no. You are a friend doing a favor, not a servant or a bank. If you don't have the budget for a shower right now, don't go. If you can't afford to buy new shoes, ask the bride if you can wear some you already own. If you can't afford the fancy resort the couple picked, tell them you will stay at the cheaper Airbnb down the road. At some point, you need to advocate for yourself and set limits. The bride can only bulldoze over you and your budget to the extent that you let her.
No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
For real. And nobody can make you do anything. Period. Pooh. DIFY, even if you're a bridesmaid.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That I feel like some brides feel like you'd agreed to be my bridesmaid. It's like, you know, like
I'm the bride. I control everything.
It's like Ursula and Ariel. Like, like it's like a soul contract. Yeah. It's like, chill out.
Well, I was telling my mom because she was sharing with me this story. She went to a wedding and the bride at that wedding was like disappointed that not everybody wanted to go to the after party and all this stuff. And my mom was like, I'm going to bed, you know? And then the next day was able to have a conversation about it from both sides. But like the night of, it was not the right time to be like communicating through it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, yeah, mom, like I get your side, but I also get her side too, because the night of my wedding, I was upset that some of my bridal party members left the after party early. I was like, what the heck, guys? This is my one wedding day.
Yeah.
And you're leaving early? Do you even love me? Like what kind of respect do you have for me? As you know? And then like after the weekend passed, I'm like, oh, I was totally like overreacting. Even like going and see, because they were all hanging out just like at the fire. They just needed to leave the music. They needed to leave the social. They just needed to like sit down and get in pajamas.
It's honestly such a long day for your bridal party as well. Like,
yeah. And so I told them immediately that I was like upset that they left. And then I like apologized for being upset and was like, anyway, we're moving on. But like, I felt the need to be like, then nice to see you guys are still awake. You know, like
must be nice.
Yeah, like I didn't expect you guys to leave the after party so early, you know. But anyway, love you guys. So let's hang out for the next 4 hours and go to bed at 6 a.m. Anyway, but it's very hard to, with bridal brain, differentiate between like logical emotions and illogical emotions.
I can see that.
So, and you're especially in that like last month leading up to the wedding, it is like someone came up to me and was like, about this conversation we had. I was like, what did I say to you? Like I told you that, like I knew I was wanting to, but okay, yeah, I guess we did have that conversation, and that was a week before my wedding, and I'm sorry, I was very heated.
Sometimes bridal brains are bold. Like they're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah, and just like emotions are so all over the place that I felt like the need to release a lot in every direction. So yeah. Told a lot of people off the week or two before my wedding. So
you're just done with the BS.
I was over it. I was ready to party. Literally, like at my rehearsal, I think it was my designer from my planning team came up to me and she was like, so like, do you want, you know, how do you want the family to exit after the ceremony? I was like, Raylan, I don't care. I'm done. It's answering questions. I'm done deciding things. You decide. If they're gonna walk out in a special thing, whatever. If they're not, I don't care. I'm ready to have my wedding. I am done answering all of these questions. And she's like, okay, I got you. I was like, thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. Like my wedding is in 12 hours. I don't need, or not 12 hours, like 24 hours. I don't need you asking me this question right now. Mm-hmm. I'm done. I'm checked out.
I could like see it in your eyes. Like, just like,
like, and people were running late to that rehearsal, and I was just like I'm ready to, because it's like the first thing that starts the weekend off. Like, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like, okay, we got to be on schedule anyway.
Well, and you're like, and I think that you and I are so similar in that way that I think that like vibes are a very big deal. So like, you know, just getting off on the right foot, I feel like is really kind of the domino effect of making sure that everything else goes into place. So with if this starts off chaotic, it's gonna feel chaotic. And I don't know about you, but I can't feel at any type of great time if there's chaos going on. So you know what I mean? So it just, I could totally understand.
No, I didn't feel settled in until I was like on the bus to our dinner with a drink in my hand, and I was like, okay, we're gonna get to dinner on time, and then from here on out, like I know the rest of the weekend's gonna be fine. But it was just like, are we going to get to dinner on time? Like Jackson's dad's going to be like, where are you guys? You know, we're paying for anything, a whole thing. But that wraps it up for our stories for today. All in all, I think no budget should be seen as a limitation when you are walking into,
unless it's $1.
Unless it's $1. You cannot even get a marriage license for that. You have to have at least $75. I think in the state of Texas is what it costs. Yeah, like that's the minimum budget.
I think it's 80 now.
What?
Maybe 85. I think it's gone up.
Inflation.
let's just say $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
A wedding budget needs to start like
you need gas to get to the court. You need, yeah. You have to pay for those hours, that you're taking off from work.
You need a little Amazon dress or something.
Yeah. So at least $100 to officially get married.
Yeah.
And then everything's up from there, from $2,000 to, like you said, $200,000. Like, the sky's the limit. And it all comes down to, what are my priorities and how am I going to stay focused on those throughout the event? Having a coordinator throughout the process, having a planner that is going to lead you in the right direction. And honestly, like, spending that extra $1,000 on somebody who's going to be there from day one versus just the day of. Like, imagine the money you save, making sure you're working with the right people, you're staying on budget. Like, honestly, in girl math, you're saving money by spending
honestly.
money. Yeah. So.
And I say this, I think, every time I'm on this podcast, but when it comes to weddings, everything is on this teeter-totter of, if that's the right word, or the seesaw, I should say, of either time or convenience, or time or money, I should say.
Yes.
Sorry. So, what's going to save you money is going to take more time.
Yes.
But what's going to save you a lot of time is probably going to cost you a little bit more money.
Yeah.
So, I think, in terms of those that are considering a coordinator or considering a planner, there are so many options. Like I said, you can even ask to pay for somebody's coffee and their time and an hour to kind of get focused, and whatever works within that budget for you. But it goes a long way to have somebody in your corner. I like to take a really nice approach to my clients. That's like, even if you just want to vent, and you can't vent to your fiance and you can't vent to your parents,
Aww.
and you just want to leave me like a 10-minute voice message of just like, and I'll be, and I'll listen to it, I'll listen to it and I'll help where I can. But if you just want to basically just tell somebody that, isn't super close to you, because they're going to be like, I can't believe you're complaining, or I can't believe this. Like, you're not going to get that from me.
Right.
So I hope every bride has at least somebody in their corner.
I know.
Like that.
And if you don't have the ability to hire somebody to be in that position, I am here to be your cheerleader. I am here to be your wedding, I don't know, consultant and whatever. Like, maybe I will get into wedding consulting. I don't know. I want to be hands off. I want to be helping
for
you.
the people, by the people.
Yes,
That's
for
you.
the people. And actually, I think my middle name, Nicole, means victory for the people. Really? And my mom's been walking me through like my name meanings and everything, and I'm like, okay. Cool. And I love that it's not just like self victory; it's like victory for all.
Yeah.
Dun, da, da, da.
That's like.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
That's your whole foundation right there.
Oh. Victory for you. You get victory. You get victory. But okay, so last thought I was going to say, because earlier you were mentioning like if it's going to be emotionally taxing for you to take on these, coordinating and vetting all the vendors and all these things. If you are a DIY bride and you struggle with delegation, I highly recommend you get that planner, you get that coordinator, because it is going to be so much more emotionally taxing for you to ask, like, because I know there are people who it's so painful to ask for help. It is so hard to also like give up your control on these little details, especially on your wedding when you have such a vision. It's like, well, how can I just trust that this person's going to set it up the way that I want it? Or how can I trust that they're going to, advocate for me in the way that I want it? And it's like, if that is something that you know about yourself and you're planning on being DIY, you can still DIY most why. But have someone like Jazzy, even if it's just that 45, 60 day out coordinator who's going to be able to say, okay, this is your day of timeline, and these are those important people, your mom, your maid of honor, blah, 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 that are going to be, these are their responsibilities. Like, definitely. And they're going to be able to communicate directly with them instead of it being all on your shoulders to say, hey, mom, can you do this and that? And maybe your mom is not good at taking a delegation like that. And she's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're going to expect me to go to the grocery store and pick up your cake? And I'm your mother, you know? And it's like,
Wow. That acting class really paid off.
one voice acting class, but like 15 years of being on stage. So I'm like, show me the lights, camera, action, baby. No, I love it. And I've loved just being in the studio and just kind of like being more myself. Like there was just something about working for another company and being the host for someone else's company that I felt like, yes, I was being me, but it was like a restricted version.
There's a difference between being like an ambassador and being like, you know, I am the brand. The brand is me.
The brand is me.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, I'm the brand.
But yeah, going back to just what you were saying about planners and coordinators, definitely. And if you're a type A person, you know, you're certainly welcome to, you know, box everything up in this bin, and this is table 1, and then you take a picture of it and then you show your coordinator, this is how it should look. This is a binder of everything. Like as a coordinator, I don't feel like you're stepping on my toes or something. If this is what's going to make you feel prepared as a bride, then
unless they're like looking at whatever you're doing for them and they're like, actually, I know how to do this better. And you're like, honey, I've done this 500 times.
Yeah. Like, yeah. That's my only thing, is that when you hand over that binder or that information that you want me to have, you're handing it over.
Yes.
Okay. I know how to follow instructions. You can't micromanage how I follow those.
Yes. You got to
it will get done. I promise. That's my only thing. But other than that, you can be as type A and as DIY as you want. Just have somebody that you can release the reins from on your wedding day, because to work it and to enjoy it is I just don't think is really possible.
It's really hard to do both. It is really hard to do both. So I think that's probably the biggest recommendation of the day is like, no matter your budget, if you can, hire the planner, hire the coordinator, because like they are going to help you figure out how to optimize the rest of the budget that you have left to make the most out of your wedding day. So thanks for coming into the studio, Jazzy. I already said your Instagram handle, but if you just want to say it one more time and like let them know where they can find more from you.
Of course. Anywhere that you're on socials, All That Jazz Events, allthatjazzevents.com. If you want to learn more specifically about my services. And if you're looking for a hill country venue, I definitely recommend. You'll get me as your day of coordinator already included when you book La Escondida Celebration Center in Helotes, Texas.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like a bigger bang for your buck.
Yeah. Bada bang, bada boom. The best of both worlds.
Wow. I feel good. I think you're going to have a lot of good sound bites.
Yeah.
From this episode.
There will be really good clips.
I wouldn't be surprised if we go viral. You know?
Catch us with millions of followers after this.
Thank you so much, Kat. I really appreciate you having me.
Of course. And Bridal Babes, let me know what you think of the new studio space in the comments. DM me with your questions and your stories. As always, the buzz does not stop here. So find me online as well. TikTok, Instagram. I might be starting like a Reddit, like a subreddit soon for everybody to leave their stories publicly. So stay tuned for that. And with that, we'll see you next time. Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta for now.